Pandas for Education, Student Grades and Attendance. A complete, standalone tutorial will build a synthetic gradebook and attendance log, then analyze performance with Pandas. No prior Pandas experience needed. Let's jump straight in. Running the cell now. Before you start, open a new Jupyter notebook in VS Code and select your Python interpreter as the kernel. If Pandas isn't installed yet, open a terminal in VS Code and run pip install pandas. Running the cell now. Once your kernel is selected, you're ready to go. This is the final dataset in the series, so if you've enjoyed it, now's a great time to subscribe. Let's dive in. Part 1. Building the dataset. Running the cell now. We import pandas as PD. We also import numpy, which we'll use to generate random scores and attendance figures. We print the installed pandas version to confirm everything works. Running the cell now. Here, we confirm the pandas library version is 2.3.0, ensuring compatibility for our dataset building steps. This check helps us avoid version-related issues later, so our data manipulation functions as expected throughout the lesson. We'll model a small class, 1 row per student, plus a separate attendance figure for each, entirely offline. Building the students and attendance tables. Running the cell now. A seeded random generator, so this class is exactly reproducible. 20 first names for our class roster. We build a students table directly from a dictionary. Sequential student IDs, the names themselves, and a random attendance percentage, centered around 90, clipped to a believable 55 to 100 range. We preview the first 5 students. Running the cell now. This output shows the first 5 rows of the student's data frame, which organizes each student's ID, name, and attendance percentage. Notice how attendance_PCT values are realistic percentages clipped between 55 and 100, reflecting the simulated attendance data generated with a normal distribution. This table forms the foundation for further analysis by clearly linking student identities with their attendance metrics. We'll give every student 1 score in each of 4 subjects, stored in long format, 1 row per student per subject, which is usually the most flexible layout for analysis. Generating scores across subjects. Running the cell now. For subjects every student takes an empty list to collect every individual score. Iteros loops over the student's table 1 row at a time. And each student gets their own baseline ability, centered around 75, so some students are consistently stronger across every subject. For each of the 4 subjects, attendance nudges the score up or down slightly, tying attendance and performance together intentionally, just like our earlier fitness dataset tied sleep to heart rate. The final score combines base ability, the attendance nudge, and random noise. Clipped to a believable 30 to 100 range. Appending the finished row. We build a data frame from every row, 1 row per student per subject. We print the shape, 20 students times for subjects equals 80 rows. Running the cell now. This output shows the shape of the scores data frame with 80 rows and 3 columns, confirming that scores have been generated for each student-subject combination. The 3 columns represent student_ID, subject, and the corresponding score, aligning with the intent to create multiple subject scores per student. Noticing the row count helps verify that all students have scores for every subject listed. We save the students table to its own CSV file, and the scores table to a second, separate file, exactly like 2 related exports from a school system. We read students back in. We read scores back in. Head previews the first 5 score rows. Running the cell now. Here we see the first few rows of the scores data frame after saving and reloading the data, confirming that each student has multiple subject scores. Notice the student_ID links the scores to individual students, while the subject and score columns represent the generated test results across different subjects. This structure sets us up to analyze and process student performance across all subjects efficiently. Part 2. First look at the data. Running the cell now. 20 students, 3 columns. 80 score rows, 3 columns. Value underscore counts confirms exactly 20 scores per subject, 1 for every student. Running the cell now. Here, we see the dimensions of 2 datasets, students with 20 rows and 3 columns, and scores with 80 rows and 3 columns. Notably, the scores data evenly distributes 20 entries across for subjects, indicating a balanced dataset. This initial exploration confirms the data structure and ensures we have consistent, well-organized information for each student and subject. Describes summarizes the score column across all subjects and students at once: count, mean, standard deviation, minute, max, and quartiles. Running the cell now. This summary provides a quick statistical overview of the score column, showing there are 80 scores with an average around 78 and a spread indicated by the standard deviation of 12.2. Noticing the range from 47.3 up to 100, along with the quartiles, helps us understand the distribution and variability in the data as a first step in exploring its characteristics. Long format is great for storage and grouping, but a wide, 1-row per student gradebook is often easier for a human to actually read. Part 3. Pivoting to a wide gradebook. Running the cell now. Pivot underscore table reshapes our long scores table into 1 row per student, 1 column per subject. Merging student names back on, then setting name as the index, makes the result much more readable than plain numeric IDs. We preview the first 5 students' full gradebook rows. Running the cell now. Here, we've transformed the long format scores data into a wide gradebook where each student is a row and each subject is a column, making it easier to compare scores across subjects. Notice how the pivot table organizes the score values by student underscore ID and subject, and then merges student names for readability. This structure is key for quickly analyzing individual performance trends across different subjects. Averaging every student's own scores, then converting that average into a letter grade with a small custom function, is a classic apply use case. Part 4. Overall averages and letter grades. Running the cell now. Grouping by student and averaging across all 4 subjects, rounded to 1 decimal. Merging the student name back on, after resetting the index so student underscore ID is a plain column again. Sorting by average score, highest first. We preview the top of the class ranking. Running the cell now. This output shows each student's average score, sorted from highest to lowest, with their name included for clarity. Notice how the code grouped scores by student, calculated the mean to find overall averages, and then merged with the students' names to create a clear summary. This sets the stage for assigning letter grades based on these overall averages in this lesson section. A small function converting a single numeric average into a letter grade. 90 or above is an A. Otherwise 80 or above is a B. Otherwise 70 or above is a C. Otherwise 60 or above is a D. And anything else is an F. Apply, this time with no axis argument, runs that function once for every value in the score column, a classic use of apply on a single series. We preview the letter grade sitting right alongside each student's numeric average. Running the cell now. This output shows the student names alongside their average scores and corresponding letter grades, demonstrating how the custom letter underscore grade function categorizes numeric scores into letter grades. Notice that scores above 90 receive an A, while those in the 80s are assigned a B, reflecting the grading scale implemented in the code. This connects directly to the lesson's goal of translating raw averages into familiar grade letters for easier interpretation and reporting. Value underscore counts, re-indexed into proper A through F order, shows the overall shape of the class's grade distribution. Running the cell now. Here, we see the distribution of letter grades assigned to students based on their overall averages. Notice that the majority of students earn BS and CS, while As, DS, and FS are less common. This output confirms how the grading scale categorizes student performance across the class, aligning with our lesson goal of summarizing grades from numerical averages. Going back to the original long-format scores table lets us check pass rate subject by subject, not just overall. We are now combining pivoting, custom functions, and grouped pass rates, which covers most of what real gradebook analysis looks like. If this is helping you, a subscribe helps a lot. Part 5 Pass/fail analysis by subject. Running the cell now. A simple threshold flags every score of 60 or above as a pass. Grouping by subject, averaging that Boolean column, multiplying by 100 with mul, rounding, and sorting. Gives a clean pass rate percentage per subject. Running the cell now. Here, the code calculates the pass rate for each subject by first marking scores 60 and above as passing, then grouping by subject to find the average pass rate as a percentage. Notice that English has the highest pass rate at 95%, while history, math, and science all have a 90% pass rate. This highlights how grouping and aggregation help reveal trends in pass-fail rates across different subjects. Grouping by subject and calling ag with 3 named outputs. Average score. Pass rate is a percentage, computed with a small custom lambda. And the single lowest score anyone got. Rounded and sorted so the strongest subject appears first. We display the full subject by subject summary. Running the cell now. This summary table groups exam results by subject, showing the average score, pass rate percentage, and lowest score for each. Notice that English leads with the highest average score and pass rate, highlighting better overall performance, while math and science have lower averages and similar pass rates. This output helps us compare subjects easily, aligning with the lesson's goal to analyze pass-fail trends across different subjects. Merging average scores back onto the students' table lets us check whether attendance and performance actually move together, exactly as we built into the data. Part 6, Attendance and Performance. Running the cell now. Merging each student's average score back onto their attendance record. We rename the merged column to average_score for clarity. Core on just those 2 columns returns a small matrix. iloc picks out the single cross-correlation value from it. We print that correlation, rounded to 2 decimals. A clearly positive number confirms the relationship we deliberately built into the data. Running the cell now. This output shows the correlation of 0.39 between attendance percentage and average scores, indicating a moderate positive relationship. In the context of the lesson on attendance and performance, this suggests that students who attend classes more regularly tend to have higher average scores, reinforcing the importance of consistent attendance for academic success. A bar chart of subject averages and a scatter plot of attendance against score close out the report visually. Part 7, Visualizing the results. Running the cell now. We import matplotlib. Switching to the non-interactive ag backend so charts save cleanly anywhere. Then we import pyplot. A figure and axis. We plot average score per subject as a bar chart, fixing the y-axis from 0 to 100 to match the real scoring scale. A title. A y-axis label. We keep the subject labels horizontal, since they're short. Tight underscore layout keeps everything readable. We save the chart. We release the figure. We confirm the save. Running the cell now. This output confirms that the bar chart showing the average scores by subject has been successfully saved as an image file. The visualization from the code highlights the comparison of average scores across different subjects, using clear bars and consistent scaling from 0 to 100 to facilitate easy interpretation. This step connects to the lesson's intent by demonstrating how to effectively present and preserve analysis results for reporting or further use. Opening the real saved chart directly, confirming it genuinely landed on disk exactly as it looked in the notebook. A new figure and axis for our second chart. Scatter plots every student as 1 point, attendance against average score. A title. An x-axis label. A y-axis label. Tight underscore layout keeps everything tidy. We save the chart. We release the figure. We confirm the save. Running the cell now. This output confirms that the scatter plot comparing attendance percentage and average scores was successfully saved as an image file. In this lesson section, the goal is to visualize the relationship between student attendance and performance, so notice how the code sets up the plot, labels the axis clearly, and saves the figure for further analysis or reporting. This step ensures your insights are preserved beyond the notebook environment. Opening the real saved chart directly, confirming it genuinely landed on disk exactly as it looked in the notebook. That upward-sloping cloud of points is the positive correlation we calculated a moment ago, made visible. Students who show up more, on the whole, tend to score higher too. We covered a lot, so let's recap. Wrap up what you learned. Generating a realistic synthetic gradebook and attendance log, then saving and reloading with to_CSV and read_CSV. Reshaping long-format scores into a wide, readable gradebook with pivot_table. Per student averages, plus letter grades from a custom function with apply. Pass and fail analysis by subject, including a lambda inside AG for a custom pass rate statistic. Merging tables to check a real correlation between attendance and performance. A bar chart and a scatter plot, both presentation ready, with matplotlib. That wraps up the full 10-video Pandas series, from retail sales all the way to student grades. If you've made it through the whole series, subscribing means you won't miss whatever's next. Thanks for following along. Running the cell now.